It was about 3, maybe closer to 4 years ago. I was still unsure about my sexuality and long before I knew I was non-binary, but my mind was swarming with spirit journeys coming to an end. Not mine, but those I was involved in. And I'm pretty sure it was also the summer I had recently ended things with a god and goddess. Mostly my fault. I was vain and apathetic. She's doing well, but he's never spoken to me again. It was the solstice, and I was determined it to be the solstice of anchoring. That would be centered and grounded in this body. Of course, I could continue to grow into this split infinitive of self, but all the leftovers of possible me's that were just rotting away would be expelled, and what remained would align for a time. The best rituals are through baking. So I made key lime pie because summer is the time for sweet pies and I have a preference for limes. Anything citrus, really. Pies are also important too. They have magic in their meaning and how they come from the harvest. My mother's pie is chocolate mousse, my father's is lemon meringue, and both my brother and sister are coconut cream. Seeing as it's the ritual's purpose was to be anchored to the physical world, I had decided not to skimp on the ingredients. Full fat, no half measurements. Real Irish butter, salt scraped from the rocks of the wild Atlantic Way, and fresh limes, pulped and juiced by my hands. All the while I argued with ghosts and other realities and realms about myself and our relationships, speaking in tongues if you like. The astral plane where I gathered associates in had come to an end. The grand hall of Carnavalia had stopped briefly to be remodelled. It was in that darkness, that lollipop, it never told me its real name, and I began to come to an accord of sorts. The damage we had done, my insistence on order, its desire for freedom, was put forward. No shame, no anger, no pettiness. I don't see it as my place to bring it all up again, especially not now that neither of us relate to that part of our lives anymore, but suffice to say it was a psychic scarring. It was a slow process. I remember it began when we both found ourselves in the old archives of the Discordia. I was just aimlessly wandering, but they were looking for something in particular, a talisman, but I never found out what. The more I whisked in my soul to the filling, weaving the manna through the crumbs of the pastry, I felt it unspool. And meditating while I baked, I was drawn through that limited incarnation to points when I was more certain of myself, more grounded in this body and this reality. Anchored. Of course, eating the entire pie took time, but it was after the second slice and a shower, with all the balms and scents at hand, that I was pulled to the early evening sun of the garden. The world was quiet, but not silent. As the wind churned a small vortex, I could smell the pine trees, the shampoo, the warmth, the apple tree blossom in the soil. My soul expanded briefly before the world spun, gently twisting all those tangent cells into alignment. I was anchored in this body. This body will do for now, and I'm okay with that.